warm summer twilight here in upper Illinois country, in this tiny little town deep far away from everything, kept to itself by a river and a forest and a meadow and a lake. The sidewalks still scorched, the stores closing and the streets shadowed, and there were 2 moons, the clock moon with 4 faces and 4 night directions above the solemn black courthouse, and the real moon, rising in vanilla whiteness from the dark east. In the drugstore, fans whispered in the high ceilings. In the rococo shades of porches, a few invisible people sat. Cigars glowed pink on occasion. Screen doors whined their springs and slammed. On the purple bricks of the summer night streets, Darla Spalding ran. Dogs and children followed after.
Hi, Miss Lavinia.
The children loped away, waving after them quietly. Lavinia Nebbs sat all alone with a tall, cool lemonade in her fingers, tapping it to her lips, sipping, waiting.
Here I am, Lavinia.
She turned, and there was Francine, all in snow white, at the bottom steps of the porch, and the smell of zinnias and hibiscus. Lavinia Nebbs locked her front door, and, leaving her lemonade glass half empty on the porch, said,
"It's a fine night for the movie."
They walked down the street.
"Where are you going, girls?"
cried Miss Fern from her porch over the way. Lavinia called back through the soft ocean of darkness.
"To the Elite Theater to see Charlie Chaplin."
"Won't catch me out on no night like this. Not with the lonely one out strangling women. Lock myself up in my closet with a gun."
"Oh, bosh."
Lavinia heard the old woman's door bang and lock. And she drifted on, feeling the warm breath of summer night shimmering off the oven-baked sidewalk. It was like walking on a hard crust of freshly warm bread. The heat pulsed under your dress, along your legs, with a stealthy but not unpleasant sense of invasion.
Lavinia, you don't believe all that about the lonely one, do you?
Those women like to see their tongues dance.
Just the same. Hattie McDullis was killed 2 months ago, Roberta Ferry the month before, and now Elizabeth Ramsell's disappeared.
Hattie McDullis was a silly girl. Walked off with a traveling man, I bet.
But the others, all of them, strangled, their tongues sticking out of their mouths, they say.
They stood upon the edge of the ravine that cut the town half in 2. Behind them were the lit houses and music. Ahead was deepness, moistness, fireflies, and dark.
Maybe we shouldn't go to the show tonight. The lonely one might follow and kill us. I don't like that ravine. Look at it, will you?
Lavinia looked, and the ravine was a dynamo that never stopped running, night or day. There was a great moving hum, a bumbling and murmuring of creature, insect, or plant life. It smelled like a greenhouse, of secret vapors and ancient washed shales and quicksand. And always the black dynamo humming, sparkles like great electricity where fireflies moved on the air.
It won't be me coming back through this old ravine tonight late, so darn late. It'll be you, Lavinia. You down the steps and over the bridge, and maybe the lonely one there.
Bosh!
It'll be you alone on the path, listening to your shoes, not me. You all alone on the way back to your house, Lavinia. Don't you get lonely living in that house?
Old maids love to live alone.
Lavinia pointed at the hot, shadowy path leading down into the dark.
Let's take the shortcut.
I'm afraid.
It's early. The lonely one won't be out till late.
Lavinia took Francine's arm and led her down and down the crooked path into the cricket warmth and frog sound and mosquito delicate silence. They brushed through summer-scorched grass, burrs prickling at their bare ankles.
Let's run!
No!
They turned a curve in the path, and there it was, in the singing deep night, in the shade of the warm trees, as if she had laid herself out to enjoy the soft stars and the easy wind, her hands at either side of her like oars of a delicate craft, lay Elizabeth Ramsell.
Don't scream!
Lavinia put out her hands to hold on to Francine, who was whimpering and choking.
Don't!
The woman lay as if she had floated there, her face moonlit, her eyes wide and like flint, her tongue sticking out of her mouth.
She's dead! Oh, she's dead! She's dead!
Lavinia stood in the middle of 1,000 warm shadows with the crickets screaming and the frogs loud.
We'd better get the police.
Hold me, Lavinia, hold me. I'm cold. Oh, I've never been so cold in all my life.
Lavinia held Francine, and the policemen were brushing through the crackling grass. Flashlights stuck about, voices mingled, and the night grew toward 8:30.
It's like December. And a sweater.
Said Francine, eyes shut against Lavinia.
I guess you can go now, ladies. You might drop by the station tomorrow for a little more questioning.
Lavinia and Francine walked away from the police in the sheet over the delicate thing upon the ravine grass. Lavinia felt her heart going loudly in her, and she was cold too, with the February cold. There were bits of sudden snow all over her flesh, and the moon washed her brittle fingers pale, and she remembered doing all the talking while Francine just sobbed against her. A voice called from far off.
You want an escort, ladies?
No, we'll make it.
They walked through the nuzzling, whispering ravine, the ravine of whispers and clicks, the little world of investigation growing small behind them with its lights and voices.
I've never seen a dead person before.
Lavinia examined her watch, as if it was 1,000 miles away on an arm and wrist grown impossibly distant.
It's only 8:30. We'll pick up Helen and get on to the show.
The show?
It's what we need. We've got to forget this. It's not good to remember. If we went home now, we'd remember. We'll go to the show as if nothing happened.
Lavinia, you don't mean it.
I never meant anything more in my life. We need to laugh now and forget.
But Elizabeth's back there. Your friend, my friend.
We can't help her. We can only help ourselves. Come on.
They started up the ravine side on the stony path in the dark, and suddenly there, barring their way, standing very still in one spot, not seeing them but looking down at the moving lights in the body and listening to the official voices, was Darla Spalding. She stood there, white as a mushroom, with her hands at her sides, staring down into the ravine.
Get home! You! Get home! Get out of this place, you hear? Get home! Get home! Get home!
Darla jerked her head, stared at them as if they were not there. Her mouth moved. She gave a bleating sound. Then, silently, she whirled about and ran. She silently ran up the distant hills into the warm darkness. Francine sobbed and cried again, and, doing this, walked on with Lavinia Nebbs.
There you are. I thought you ladies had never come.
Helen Greer stood tapping her foot atop her porch steps.
You're only an hour late, that's all. What happened?
Lavinia clutched her arm tight.
There was a commotion. Somebody found Elizabeth Ramsell in the ravine.
Dead? Was she dead?
Lavinia nodded. Helen gasped and put her hand to her throat.
Who found her?
Lavinia held Francine's wrist firmly.
We don't know.
The three young women stood in the summer night looking at each other.
I've got a notion to go in the house and lock the doors.
But finally she went to get a sweater, for though it was still warm, she too complained of the sudden winter night. While she was gone, Francine whispered frantically,
Why didn't you tell her?
Why upset her? Tomorrow's plenty of time.
The three women moved along the street under the black trees, past suddenly locked houses. How soon the news had spread outward from the ravine, from house to house, porch to porch, telephone to telephone. Now, passing, the three women felt eyes looking out at them from curtained windows as locks rattled into place. How strange, The popsicle, the vanilla night, the night of close-packed ice cream, of mosquito lotion wrists, the night of running children suddenly veered from their games and put away behind glass, behind wood, the popsicles and melting puddles of lime and strawberry, where they fell when the children were scooped indoors. Strange, the hot rooms with sweating people pressed tightly back into them behind bronze knobs and knockers. Baseball bats and balls lay upon unfootprinted lawns. A half-drawn, white chalk game of hopscotch lay on the broiled, steamed sidewalk. It was as if someone had predicted freezing weather a moment ago.
We're crazy being out on a night like this.
Lonely One won't kill 3 ladies. There's safety in numbers, and besides, it's too soon. The killings always come a month separated.
A shadow fell across their terrified faces. A figure loomed behind a tree. As if someone had struck an organ a terrible blow with his fist, the 3 women gave off a scream in 3 different shrill notes.
Gotcha!
The man plunged at them. He came into the light, laughing. He leaned against a tree, pointing at the ladies weakly, laughing again.
Hey, I'm the lonely one.
Frank Dillon!
Frank, if you ever do a childish thing like that again, may someone riddle you with bullets.
What a thing to do!
Say, I'm sorry.
Go away. Haven't you heard about Elizabeth Ramsell, found dead in the ravine? You running around scaring women. Don't speak to us again.
Aw, no.
They moved. He moved to follow.
Stay right there, Mr. Lonely One, and scare yourself. Go take a look at Elizabeth Ramsell's face and see if it's funny. Good night.
Lavinia took the other 2 on along the street of trees and stars, Francine holding a kerchief to her face.
Francine, it was only a joke. Why is she crying so hard?
We'll tell you when we get downtown. We're going to the show no matter what. Enough's enough. Come on now, get your money ready. We're almost there.
The drugstore was a small pool of sluggish air, which the great wooden fans stirred in tides of arnica and tonic and soda smell out onto the brick street.
I need a nickel's worth of green peppermint shoes for eating in the show.
The druggist weighed out a nickel's worth of green candy with a silver shovel.
You sure look pretty tonight, ladies. You look cool this afternoon, Miss Lavinia, when you was in for a chocolate soda. So cool and nice that someone asked after you.
Oh?
Man sitting at the counter. Watched you walk out. Said to me, "Say, who's that?" "Why, that's Lavinia Nebbs, prettiest maiden lady in town." I said, "She's beautiful," he said. "Where does she live?"
Here, the druggist paused uncomfortably.
You didn't. You didn't give him her address, I hope. You didn't.
I guess I didn't think. I said, "Oh, over on Park Street, you know, near the ravine." Casual remark, but now, tonight, them finding the body, or a minute ago, I thought, my God, what have I done?
She handed over the package, much too full.
You fool!
I'm sorry. Of course, maybe it was nothing.
Lavinia stood with 3 people looking at her, staring at her. She felt nothing, except perhaps the slightest prickle of excitement in her throat. She held out her money automatically.
There's no charge on those peppermints.
Well, I know what I'm going to do right now.
Helen stalked out of the drug shop.
I'm calling a taxi to take us all home. I'll be no part of a hunting party for you, Lavinia. That man was up to no good asking about you. You want to be dead in the ravine next?
It was just a man.
So is Frank Dillon a man, but maybe he's the lonely one.
Francine hadn't come out with them, they noticed, and turning, they found her arriving.
I made her give me a description, the druggist. I made her tell me what the man looked like. A stranger in a dark suit, sort of pale and thin.
We're all overwrought. I simply won't take a taxi if you get one. If I'm the next victim, let me be the next. There's all too little excitement in life, especially for a maiden lady 33 years old. So don't you mind if I enjoy it. Anyway, it's silly. I'm not beautiful.
Oh, but you are, Lavinia. You're the loveliest lady in town. Now that Elizabeth is... You keep men off at a distance. If you'd only relax, you'd been married years ago.
Stop sniveling, Francine. Here's the theater box office. I'm paying 41 cents to see Charlie Chaplin. If you two want a taxi, go on. I'll sit alone and go home alone.
Lavinia, you're crazy. We can't let you do that.
They entered the theater. The first showing was over, intermission was on, and the dim auditorium was sparsely populated. The three ladies sat halfway down front, in the smell of the ancient brass polish, and watched the manager step through the worn red velvet curtains to make an announcement.
The police have asked us to close early tonight, so everyone can be out at a decent hour. Therefore, we are cutting our short subjects and running our feature again immediately. The show will be over at 11. Everyone is advised to go straight home. Don't linger in the streets.
That means us, Lavinia.
The lights went out. The screen leaped to life.
Lavinia!
What?
As we came in, a man in a dark suit across the street crossed over. He just walked down the aisle and is sitting in the row behind us.
Oh, Helen.
Right behind us?
One by one, the three women turned to look. They saw a white face there, flickering with unholy light from the silver screen. It seemed to be all men's faces hovering there in the dark.
I'm going to get the manager. Stop the film! Lights!
Helen, come back!
They tapped their empty soda glasses down, each with a vanilla mustache on their upper lip, which they found with their tongues, laughing.
You see how silly? All that riot for nothing. How embarrassing.
I'm sorry.
The clock said 11:30 now. They had come out of the dark theater, away from the fluttering rush of men and women hurrying everywhere, nowhere, on the street while laughing at Helen. Helen was trying to laugh at herself.
Helen, when you ran up that aisle crying, "Lights!" I thought I'd die, that poor man.
The theater manager's brother from Racine.
I apologize.
We shouldn't have stopped for these sodas. The police warned.
Oh, bosh the police. I'm not afraid of anything. The lonely one is 1,000,000 miles away now. He won't be back for weeks, and the police will get him then. Just wait. Wasn't that film wonderful?
Closing up, ladies.
The druggist switched off the lights in the cool, white-tiled silence. Outside, the streets were swept clean and empty of cars or trucks or people. Baked in white, the long avenues lay ahead, blowing and tall in a wind that only touched their leafy summits. The trees stood on either side of the three small women. Seen from the courthouse peak, they appeared like three thistles far away.
First, we'll walk you home, Francine.
No, I'll walk you home.
Don't be silly. You live way out at Electric Park. If you walked me home, you'd have to come back across the ravine alone yourself. And if so much as a leaf fell on you, you'd drop dead.
I can stay the night at your house. You're the pretty one.
And so they walked. They drifted like three prim clothes forms over a moonlit sea of lawn and concrete. Lavinia watching the black trees flit by each side of her, listening to the voices of her friends murmuring, trying to laugh. And the night seemed to quicken. They seemed to run while walking slowly. Everything seemed fast in the color of hot snow.
Let's sing. Shine on, harvest moon, for me and my gals. The night was mighty dark and you could hardly see, for the moon refused to shine. Couples sitting underneath the willow tree, for love they'll find.
They sang sweetly and quietly, arm in arm, not looking back. They felt the hot sidewalk cooling underfoot, moving, moving.
Listen.
They listened to the summer night crickets in the far-off tone of the courthouse clock, making it 11:45.
Listen.
A porch swing creaked in the dark, and there was Mr. Terrell, not saying anything to anybody, alone on his swing, having a last cigar. They saw the pink ash swinging gently to and fro. Now the lights were going, gone. The little house lights and the big house lights, the yellow lights and the green hurricane lights, the candles and the oil lamps and porch lights. Everything felt locked up in brass and iron and steel.
Everything,
thought Lavinia,
is boxed and locked and wrapped and shaded.
She imagined the people in their moonlit beds, and their breathing in the summer night rooms, safe and together.
And here we are,
thought Lavinia.
Our footsteps on along the baked summer evening sidewalk, and above us the lonely streetlights shining down, making a drunken shadow. Here's your house, Francine. Good night.
Lavinia, Helen, stay here tonight. It's late, almost midnight now. You can sleep in the parlor, I'll make hot chocolate. It'll be such fun.
No thanks. Oh, not again, Francine.
I don't want you dead. You're so fine and nice. I want you alive, please. Oh, please.
Francine, I didn't know how much this had done to you. I promise I'll phone when I get home.
Oh, will you?
And tell you I'm safe, yes. And tomorrow we'll have a picnic lunch at Electric Park. With ham sandwiches I'll make myself. How's that? You'll see. I'll live forever.
You'll phone then?
I promised, didn't I?
Good night. Good night.
Rushing upstairs, Francine whisked behind a door, which slammed to be snap-bolted tight on the instant.
Now, I'll walk you home,
said Lavinia to Helen. The courthouse clock struck the hour. The sounds blew across a town that was empty, emptier than it had ever been. Over empty streets and empty lots and empty lawns, the sound faded.
Nine, 10, 11, 12,
counted Lavinia with Helen on her arm.
Don't you feel funny?
How do you mean?
When you think of us being out here on the sidewalks under the trees and all those people safe behind locked doors lying in their beds, we're practically the only walking people out in the open in 1,000 miles, I bet.
The sound of the deep, warm, dark ravine came near. In a minute, they stood before Helen's house, looking at each other for a long time. The wind blew the odor of cut grass between them. The moon was sinking in a sky that was beginning to cloud.
I don't suppose it's any use asking you to stay, Lavinia?
I'll be going on.
Sometimes
what?
Sometimes I think people want to die. You've acted odd all evening.
I'm just not afraid. And I'm curious, I suppose. And I'm using my head. Logically, the lonely one can't be around. The police and all.
The police are home with their covers up over their ears.
Let's just say I'm enjoying myself. Precariously, but safely. If there was any real chance of anything happening to me, I'd stay here with you. You can be sure of that.
Maybe part of you doesn't want to live anymore.
You and Francine, honestly.
I feel so guilty. I'll be drinking some hot cocoa just as you reach the ravine bottom and walk on the bridge.
Drink a cup for me. Good night.
Lavinia Nebbs walked alone down the midnight street, down the late summer night silence. She saw houses with the dark windows, and far away she heard a dog barking.
In 5 minutes, I'll be safe at home. In 5 minutes, I'll be phoning silly little Francine.
She heard the man's voice.
Oh, give me a June night, the moonlight and you.
She walked a little faster.
In my arms, with all your charms.
Down the street in the dim moonlight, a man walked slowly and casually along.
I can run knock on one of these doors, if I must.
Oh, give me a June night, the moonlight and you.
Sang the man. He carried a long club in his hand.
Well, look who's here. What a time of night for you to be out, Miss Nebbs.
Officer Kennedy.
I'd better see you home.
Thanks, I'll make it.
But you live across the ravine.
Yes.
She thought.
But I won't walk through the ravine with any man, not even an officer. How do I know who the lonely one is?
She said.
No, I'll hurry.
I'll wait right here. If you need any help, give a yell. Voices carry good here. I'll come running.
Thank you.
She went on, leaving him under a light, humming to himself, alone.
Here I am. The ravine.
She stood on the edge of one of the 113 steps that went down the steep hill and then across the bridge 70 yards and up the hills leading to Park Street. And only one lantern to see by.
3 minutes from now, I'll be putting my key in my house door. Nothing can happen in just 180 seconds.
She started down the long, dark green steps into the deep ravine.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 steps.
She felt she was running, but she was not running.
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 steps. 1/5 of the way.
The ravine was deep, black and black, black. And the world was gone behind. The world of safe people in bed, the locked doors, the town, the drugstore, the theater, the lights. Everything was gone. Only the ravine existed and lived, black and huge about her.
Nothing's happened, has it? No one around, is there? 24, 25 steps. Remember that old ghost story you told each other when you were children? The story about the dark man coming in your house and you upstairs in bed. And now he's at the first step coming up to your room. And now he's at the second step. And now he's at the third step and the fourth step and the fifth. Oh, how you used to laugh and scream at that story. And now the horrid dark man's at the 12th step. And now he's opening the door of your room. And now he's standing by your bed. I got you! Ah!
It was like nothing she'd ever heard, that scream. She never screamed that loud in her life. She stopped. She froze. She clung to the wooden banister. Her heart exploded in her. The sound of the terrified beating filled the universe.
There! At the bottom of the steps! A man under the light! No, now he's gone. He was waiting there.
She listened. Silence. The bridge was empty.
Nothing. Fool. That story I told myself. How silly. What shall I do? Shall I call the officer? Did he hear me scream?
She listened. Nothing.
I'll go the rest of the way. That silly story.
She began again, counting the steps.
35, 36, careful, don't fall. Oh, I am a fool. 37 steps, 38, 9, and 40, and 2 makes 42. Almost halfway.
She froze again.
Wait.
She took a step. There was an echo. She took another step. Another echo. Another step, just a fraction of a moment later.
Someone's following me. Someone's on the steps behind me. I don't dare turn around.
Another step. Another echo.
Every time I take a step, they take one.
A step and an echo.
Officer Kennedy? Is that you?
The crickets were still. The crickets were listening. The night was listening to her. For a change, all of the far summer night meadows and close summer night trees were suspending motion. Leaf, shrub, star, and meadow grass ceased their particular tremors and were listening to Lavinia Nebbs' heart. Silence. A summer night silence which lay for 1,000 miles, which covered the earth like a white and shadowy sea. Faster, faster, she went down the steps.
Run!
She heard music. In a mad way, in a silly way, she heard the great surge of music that pounded at her. and she realized as she ran in panic and terror, that some part of her mind was dramatizing, borrowing from some turbulent music score of some private drama, and the music was rushing and pushing her now, higher and higher, faster, faster, plummeting and scurrying down and down into the pit of the ravine.
Only a little way. 108, 9, and 110 steps. The bottom. Now run across the bridge.
She told her legs what to do, her arms, her body, her terror. She advised all parts of herself in this white and terrible moment. Over the roaring creek waters, on the hollow, thudding, swaying, almost alive, resilient bridge plank she ran, followed by the wild footsteps behind, the music following too, the music shrieking and babbling.
He's following. Don't turn. Don't look. If you see him, you'll not be able to move. You'll be so frightened. Just run. Run! Oh, God, please, please let me get up the hill. Now up the path. Now between the hills. Oh, God, it's dark and everything's so far away. If I screamed now, it wouldn't help. I can't scream anyway. Here's the top of the path. Here's the street. Oh, God, please let me be safe. If I get home safe, I'll never go out alone. I was a fool. Let me admit it. I was a fool. I didn't know what terror was. But if you let me get home from this, I'll never go without Helen or Francine again. Here's the street, across the street. Oh, God, the porch, my house. Oh, God, please give me time to get inside and lock the door and I'll be safe.
And there, silly thing to notice, why did she notice instantly? No time, but there it was anyway, flashing by. There on the porch rail, the half-filled lemonade glass she had abandoned a long time ago, half an evening ago, the lemonade glass sitting calmly, imperturbably there on the rail, and... She heard her clumsy feet on the porch and listened and felt her hands scrambling and ripping at the lock with the key. She heard her heart. She heard her inner voice screaming. The key fit.
Unlock the door, quick, quick!
The door opened.
Now inside, slam it! Now lock it, bar it, lock it! Lock it, tight!
The music stopped. She listened to her heart again and the sound of it diminishing into silence.
Home! Oh, God! Safe at home! Safe and safe at home.
She slumped against the door.
Safe! Listen! Not a sound! Safe! Oh, thank God, safe at home. I'll never go out at night again. I'll stay home. I won't go over that ravine again, ever. Safe inside. The door locked. Wait. Look out the window.
She looked.
Why, there's no one there at all. Nobody. There was nobody following me at all. Nobody running after me. It stands to reason if a man had been following me, he'd have caught me. I'm not a fast runner. There's no one on the porch or in the yard. How silly of me. I wasn't running from anything. That ravine's as safe as any place. Just the same, it's nice to be home. Home's the really good, warm place. The only place to be.
She put her hand out to the light switch and stopped.
What?
Behind her in the living room, someone cleared his throat.